Roger Ailes' widow is lashing out at the Murdochs. Jeroms. Roger Ailes used to run Fox News. Of course, the Murdochs own Fox News, so we love right-wing civil wars. Elizabeth Ailes wrote this on Twitter for no reason. Apparently, she had it bottled up. Happy heavenly birthday, Roger Ailes. It took you 20 years to build Fox News into the powerhouse that it was, and only 6 years for the Murdochs to wreak havoc. Rupert thought he could do your job. What a joke. He has a checkbook, but could never come close to your genius. RIP. Okay, so look, I don't think Rupert Murdoch is the issue. I'll get into that in a second. I want to compare the Murdochs to the Roys that you see in Succession, because I think that there's a lot of drama, including this here, that I want to talk you through. But Roger Ailes did do an amazing job of running Fox News. That part is true. He was also one of the worst people on earth. His genius involved chasing women around the office that worked for him with his penis taken out of his pants.
But what do you think about that, Elizabeth?
Yeah, did you mind that, Elizabeth? Apparently you didn't mind that. Okay, so that tells you something about her as well. Roger Ailes, a disgusting human being who, by the way, died like naked and alone. Anyways, going to the Succession comparisons, Rupert Murdoch, of course, is Logan Roy. And I don't like that because Logan Roy, while being reprehensible in Succession, also has some badass speeches that I enjoy and yells at his kids in ways that I enjoy. And so I don't want to enjoy anything about Rupert Murdoch, but it is what it is, and the show is definitely based on Fox News and the Murdochs, definitely. And so CNN explains in a story comparing the two, Murdoch's penchant for pitting the siblings against each other in a years-long competition to see who will succeed him as the head of News Corp is widely believed to be the inspiration for the popular HBO series Succession. Again, I know for a fact that that is correct. So who are they? So Murdoch is easy, but how about the kids? Because there's 3 kids, 2 sons and 1 daughter that are relevant to this succession that is happening at Fox News. So Lachlan Murdoch is the oldest son, not the oldest child, but the oldest son. And he is actually a combination of Kendall Roy and Roman Roy. Why? Like Kendall, he's the older son and the one that was the heir apparent and was banished for a while and then had to come back. But he's also partly Roman because he's the very right-wing one, as Roman is in the show. So they smushed those 2 characters a little bit together. They did that with James Murdoch as well. But let me explain what happened here and how it relates to Roger Ailes. They explain about Lachlan Murdoch. He quickly rose through the executive ranks and by 1997 had become chairman and chief executive of News Limited. At the time, his father described Lachlan as his heir apparent, quote, the first among equals. His ascension continued smoothly until 2005. That year, Lachlan abruptly quit his executive positions at News Corporation after a battle with Ailes over the direction of the cable news network, effectively taking himself off the heir apparent track. Now, look, that goes to show you he's a knucklehead because Rupert Murdoch, sided with Roger Ailes instead of his own son, who was his heir apparent. The reason he would do that is because Roger Ailes is clearly correct and Lachlan was not. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. I hate their politics. So I hate that Roger Ailes was good at his job, but in the context of the right wing, he was fantastic at his job. He, I think, single-handedly stole the 2000 election for George W. Bush. Okay, in one of the worst robberies in political history, in American history, and what they describe in Succession, especially the last episode, is very close to what actually happened. Okay, and so that means Lachlan's an idiot. And by the way, he's back to being heir apparent. So, and Murdoch is now well into his 90s, Rupert is. And so this is a real drama that you're seeing on HBO is happening in real life as well. So now let's go to James. James is a combination. James Murdoch is the 2nd oldest son. He's a combination of Roman Roy and Shiv Roy. He's got a little bit of Kendall in him too because he tried a lot of the tech stuff that you see in the show. That's James. He was an investor in Vice, which, by the way, coincidentally today went bankrupt.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, and in the show, they keep investing in tech startups that don't work, just like the Murdochs did. In fact, if you remember, Rupert Murdoch and Fox News also bought MySpace. So those knucklehead sons have been doing that for a long time. But he's like Roman because he's the 2nd son and he ran the entertainment part and not the news part. But he's like Shiv because James is the left-wing Murdoch. And by the way, that's why he's not the heir apparent, and he will not be getting Fox News because he apparently has a conscience. And I don't know how left-wing he is, but apparently unacceptably left-wing. So give credit to James Murdoch on that one. And then finally we get to Elizabeth Murdoch, and this one has a doozy of a quote. So that's his daughter that's in the media business. He has other children, 3 other daughters, but they're not in the media business. And she's clearly Shiv Roy, except we don't know her politics. Now, why is she clearly Shiv? Because get a load of this quote from the CNN piece. Rupert considers Elizabeth to be most like him, just like in the show, but he has been more dismissive of her attempts to take the throne, saying at one point she'd have to figure out how many children she wanted to have before planning further advancement at the company.
Yeah, that's how women usually like to operate, you know? Do I take the promotion or do I just predetermine how many kids I'm gonna have?
Yeah, no, that shows you Rupert Murdoch is not just doing this for profit. He actually is a Neanderthal. He does have absurd things like this. Oh, my daughter is clearly the most like me, clearly the most competent, the smartest, okay? She's right in every way. On the other hand, she's a chick and she should be having kids instead. That's who Rupert Murdoch is, the guy who owns Fox News and brought you that toxic poison into our lives.
So you're saying Elizabeth is making a good point?
Elizabeth is making a good point.
Yeah, Elizabeth Ailes in calling out Rupert Murdoch and making terrible decisions.
Well, that's interesting. See, because it seems like especially Lachlan Murdoch is the knucklehead making the most of the wrong decisions. And when Rupert passes, they're probably in a world of trouble, which is good news for the planet.
Freaking excellent.
Yeah, excellent news, right? And Murdoch took his father's media company, and remember this myth of meritocracy, right? He inherited a media company. It's not like he started from scratch, right? But to be fair to Rupert Murdoch, he was savvy enough to take a mid-sized media company and turn it into a gigantic global media company. So he's probably, a little bit closer to Logan Roy than we would like in terms of being smart and capable, right? But apparently not that smart. MySpace didn't work out at all. And obviously him thinking, yeah, my daughter's the most competent, but I don't want her because she's a woman is not just morally wrong, it's stupid.
By the way, his daughter then moved on to start a business venture of her own, and based on what I've read, she's fabulously successful.
Yeah.
Because she's competent.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Guys, here's one of my takeaways, and I'm curious what you think, Anna, is that people often ask, like, especially in winning sports teams, oh, was it Troy Aikman or Emmitt Smith or Jimmy Johnson or Jerry Jones? And those are all, that's the owner, the manager, and the star quarterback and running back of the dynasty Dallas Cowboys, right? And the answer is, you knuckleheads, it's all of them. You need a great team to win.
1000%.
Jordan was the greatest player ever until LeBron. But he still needed Scottie Pippen. Without Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and Horace Grant, he didn't win any titles. So you need the team. But the good thing about the right wing, which we could all be encouraged by, is they don't believe in teams. Like they're constantly shredding each other. You see it in Succession, you see it in the real world, constantly fighting one another, constant drama. And we don't often see that because in our world, we see the right wing circle the wagons and attack us. I was kind of encouraged to see, oh, they do the same thing the left wing does, which is attack each other inside the wagon.
Well, what's really interesting is, Logan Roy in Succession likes to pit his children against one another, and apparently that's something that Rupert Murdoch does as well.
Yeah.
So it's actually part of the strategy, which as soon as you're gone, as soon as you're dead, that infighting will destroy the enterprise.
I think so.
Yeah. Because you can't trust each other. Like imagine if we did this show where we like literally don't trust each other. Like we constantly think that everything that I do or everything that you do is like a calculated plot or ploy.
You mean like mainstream media?
Yeah, exactly.
If you worked there.
Exactly. No, I couldn't survive in that kind of environment. Like you do need trust, you do need teamwork. I mean, the same goes for our entire team, right? The producers, the associate producers, the editors, like everyone needs to trust each other and everyone needs to work together. No one person, I'd love to believe that I alone make this show, but I don't. I'm just one tiny part of it. It really does rely on a big team to make it work.
Yeah, look, Roger Ailes and Rupert Murdoch seem to agree politically on almost everything. And apparently they hated each other behind the scenes. And part of it is the ego, of course. It was me that was the reason for the success. And that stuff is so bitter that the widow is still lashing out 6 years after the guy died, etc. And look, I don't root for anyone's death, but when it happens, these guys are not that bright and they're vicious to one another. It looks like, just like in the show, they'll probably rip each other to shreds. So here's hoping that that happens. Keeping it real. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.